Ashes to Ashes is almost like a representation of new life. Um, New life.
Mm-hmm.
Because in order to kind of grow, there's a seed that, like, there are seeds essentially that
Mm-hmm.
in forests kind of like they spurt,
Yeah.
but only when they're like heated, only when there's fires, only when there's like an intense like
Mm-hmm.
combustion of heat
Mm-hmm.
or light. And so, like, for me, I see it as kind of like an eruption of
Mm-hmm.
just divine newness, like ashes to ashes. And you would think that newness is like supposed to be pretty and
Yeah.
white and everything, but
Yeah.
really and truly, it's like from the ground up. It's like
Mm-hmm.
from the crumbles
Mm-hmm.
is where life stems
Yeah.
and where life blossoms and
Yeah.
spurts. So
Which has a lot, because without new, well, without old, there's no new, right?
mm-hmm.
So when I hear ashes to ashes, I kind of hear a continuation, like a cycle,
Yeah,
and it makes me think like of a phoenix, right? A phoenix rising from the ashes,
yeah,
but you have to become nothing to become something.
yeah.
So
yeah.
I kind of see that as a continuation of continuously having to die of something or let go of something, or having the old dissipate so the new can come.
Yeah.
So
then you
what
can rise.
happens after the phoenix rises, right?
Yeah.
I think about what happens when the phoenix, like, it's the destruction of the phoenix. What comes after that? What can we imagine? Like, what's the most majestic thing that we can imagine that can come out of those ashes? Yeah. It's so interesting because when I was writing the book, or at least when I wrote this piece, I wasn't even really thinking of what it was. I was really just thinking of my own dissipation and my own destruction,
Yeah.
self-destruction, but also just like what I was going through, a mourning, really, like a death of my old life, but of my old self, of everything that was old, and I couldn't see past the ashes.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like you were shedding skin, kind of like that's some old skin, and it just
Yeah.
like crumbles away, and like who you really are just comes out. It bursts out. Yeah.
But that's one thing I always wanted to say. Like, whenever people would ask me, like, who are you, without a shadow of a doubt, now it's like, oh, I'm a child of God, but I'm also ever changing, which means I'm not the same person I am today that I will be tomorrow and that I was yesterday. And that's kind of the point of ashes to ashes.
Perfect.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cycle of life, evolution of self.
Yeah.
Death to life. Yeah.
When did you first realize that, okay, like, life is just going to be about growing?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I can't even, like, I would say like just last year, man. Like, I think so. I just, like, for some reason, I just have always found like a comfort zone in like over isolating myself, which obviously is not the best thing. It's something that I've broken out of, but I think I learned that, like, there's no one time where we're not ever going to be learning something.
Yeah.
And then that's what it was for me. It's just this revelation of there's never any part of myself that doesn't need to be refreshed and refined.
Yeah.
And there's never one part that God is going to ignore in my life, because I will learn one thing, and then just as I'm giving, like, thank you, Jesus. Another thing comes up, and then it's just like, yeah, babe, this is a constant cycle.
You're not gonna stop.
But it's just like, it's the same as like working out, right? Like, you can't just stop. Okay, yeah, like, I got the back I wanted. I'm just gonna stop. No. Once you get that Dorito back, like, you gotta maintain it.
It's
like,
not even just that. Once you have your back done, right, you're like, okay, I have to do legs now.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Like, I have to, it's not even a thing of compensating, it's more so of a balance thing, right? And like, when God, oh my gosh, the first thing that God worked on with me was, if I'm being honest, my mindset.
Yeah.
It was my mindset of like destruction equaled negativity. I saw destruction, and I saw like, and not destruction like the catastrophes and what we've made destruction to be, but the natural destruction that creates life. I thought that meant negativity. So when God was taking things away from me, or when he was taking away my personality of what I thought who I was, I felt like I couldn't recognize myself, and in losing myself, I was like, okay, well, this is the end of the world. I was like, this is a bad thing. This is the devil. The devil's working real hard. And I just remember my pastor just being like, what happens if God just like rattles you up, right? Shakes your baskets. What happens when he's like letting you lose? You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh, it's when you lose you build character. It's not when you win.
Oh,
it's so easy to win. Wait.
Even when it is easy to win, when you do win, there's always that like, okay, what's next? You know, like what else can challenge me? What else can like help me grow? Once you've learned to love it, that's when it's like, you know. But
you have to be invested in building yourself, because I don't think people realize, but like, even if you want to retire at 30, like you can't retire like developing your mindset, your identity. Like I think you said earlier that you are always in a state of reconstructing yourself. Like you're ever changing, right? Your identity is ever changing. You're not going to stay the same. Like even just like down to the material stuff, like how you look is not always going to stay the same. So you have to develop a sense of self-love that is eternal. And that's not like what you can't place it on like, you know, like your favorite lip liner. No shade to myself, but like you can't just place it on those things. Like you actually have to ask yourself, ask God every day, like, who am I in this new season? What can I appreciate about myself?
That's so good.
Like it's I don't know, it's identity and like everything that comes with your life, like as an individual, is so everlasting. Like you, it's to kingdom come, right? Like you, so you want to have like an organically renewing kind of like life force attached to your identity, which can only be God, right? Because like what else is like so life-bringing that it like changes your entire perspective every day. And I feel that like, because I'll be every single day in worship, every single day in fellowship with God is so new that like you're transported. You're transported to new knowledge, new self.
Like, I feel like a baby. I remember when I first, like, when he, you know, revealed himself to me, and it's like every day was a step. Every single day was something different. But I felt like a baby. I had to relearn how to talk to myself. Had to relearn how to
self-talk.
Like what to eat, like what was actually good for me. And you know, we all fall short. Let's be real. But like I had to even relearn. Like it was so trivial that everything. I'm like, God. I was like, how do we come in? I'm like, good morning, Jesus. All right. Like, I just want to go. And then I was like, all right, what do I do today? Oh, yeah, brush my teeth. Like, I don't even know how, but for some reason, I really felt like ground zero. I felt like I was being a baby once again. And then realizing that from then on, I'm just going to grow. And then, I don't even know how to explain it, but like, grow into something that he's shown me to be, but I don't even know how to be that. And I think that's the point. He shows you something that's so far beyond your own imagination because he wants you to know that you can't do it without him.
Trust in him is boundless, right? Like it's the motion, like when you start crawling as a baby, like when you're a baby, you don't know what you're doing, you don't know where you're going, you just want to touch and see and taste it,
you want to feel
and be
everything.
a part of life, right? 100%. So I think that's what's interesting is like in my journey as I've grown older, I have to be younger in my spirit to interact like genuinely and vulnerably with God. Like I can't come to him thinking that I know everything. No way. Like he'll just look at you like he'll just look like okay, then do it. You know what I mean?
Go
like
ahead,
if you know what you want to do, do it. And then you do it and you come back and you're like, okay, hey, like
you're like,
I was kidding. Wait.
I don't know what I'm doing.
wait.
That's so accurate. When I was first getting into reading scripture, like I was coming at it with such a fresh mind where I was just like, I couldn't stop hearing like, you don't know words. Like, you don't know what words actually mean. You don't know what I intended for those words to mean. You only know what you've been taught and what you've been fed and what other people have told you about what these words mean. But you don't know my intention for those words.
Do you know what's crazy? Is how different like a relationship with God is from like the systems of this world. Like I wanna
so hard.
Can I be real? Like I just feel like everything that I was taught in school is a lie. Like, are you kidding me? Like I just feel like all I've been taught is to chew up, spit out, chew up, spit out, chew up, spit out. I haven't digested any of this. And when I really, really started walking and with him and like asking questions, I just realized like, yo, none of what I need to know is available easily.
Like, what I need to know is actually not what I've been like taught. So
yeah.
Is this like, if it doesn't really feel like a waste of time, but it does feel like I'm wasted.
It was
if that makes
sense. Oh my God.
You're just like, wow. So I spent all those years building that up, thinking that like I was smart, academical, I knew words.
Academical?
I don't even think that's a word. You see what I mean? I was like, oh my gosh, I know all these philosophies and I'm just so blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then God's like, one word, and like I've told you this, I've been stuck on the word patience.
Yeah.
I didn't know what patience was. Clearly, I still don't know what patience was. I was taught that patience is just you wait your turn, or patience is waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. But I'm learning that patience is actually way more passive than it is. Like you have to attentively and like realize, okay, I need to be patient.
Yeah.
It's like you need to remind yourself, or you need God to help you remind yourself that, okay, I need to be patient. Help me be patient. And what does it look like? Does that mean enduring suffering?
Long suffering is another thing.
You know, long suffering doesn't mean enduring suffering. In this season of my life, does this mean just enjoying the present and not looking into the future and trying to run ahead?
Like allowing,
you know what I mean?
Him to provide for you. Like when the Izzies when they were in the wilderness and like listen, God was like, hey, I'm gonna provide you some manna. And it's like they were like, I'm gonna provide. He said, I'm gonna provide manna for you.
Yeah.
Every single day.
Yeah.
The first day even, they already started saving. They already started putting in Tupperware of manna. Like, what are you doing? And he said, I'm gonna bring it to you every day. Relax. They still would save it.
Yeah.
It's like you kind of have to enjoy the provision of God. Like you can't.
Oh, I love that.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, don't project, like, oh, girl, I don't even know where to start with this. Because this is something that's, like, just...
with it.
Oh, yeah. It's a struggle right now just because, like, I tend to... Like, I grew up very independent.
Yeah.
So I tend to always project, like, my solutions onto everything. Like, once I see something, I'm like, how can I fix this? But then it's like... I don't ask. And
it's so bad, yeah.
Worry is not prayer, right? Like worry, a lot of people like worry like a lot. Like, okay, what's gonna happen here? Like, okay, like how am I gonna pay this?
I'm being called out right now.
Girl, wait, because I was called out like a month ago. Like
that's
worry is not
me.
You would think that like just thinking about it, God knows your thoughts, right? So he'd be like, yeah, I see you, like I got you. No. He actually wants to have a conversation with you where you're like, yo, I don't really know what I'm doing with this. Can you help me out? Yeah. Boom. And then he's like, okay, well, have you thought about it this way? Okay, how can we build this? And then he goes, it's like a back and forth. Yeah. It's a back Provision and forth. Is not just like, oh, like, well, for the Izzies, it was. You know what I mean? Like, they would just like, hey, but their faith was very...
wavered. It wasn't stable at all.
Oh my God. They were babies too.
If I'm being honest, like every time I think about the Israelites and their journey and everything, I just can't get out of my head the lack of trust.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine because, I mean, but we do it every day, right? God provides for us or there's a miracle that happens. We forget about it, right? But imagine seeing the sea split and then still doubting. Do you know what I mean? Like they came walking towards the promised land. And Moses, like God put Moses in charge, right? Oh, yeah. And they were so dramatic. Oh, yeah. They were like, I see why you brought us here, Moses.
You brought us to suffer.
You brought us here because there were enough graves in Egypt.
Like,
there were enough graves in Egypt.
Are you
But honestly, that's us. We're dramatic. We're
like,
and as much as we like to look at the Israelites and look at Eve and look at all these like, you know, biblical like characters and be like, I could never do that. We read about it all the time, right?
Yeah.
But if anyone would read our story, they would be like, so why doesn't she trust God? Like, why does she still trust?
You're being loud.
Like, But we're the same way, and I think that's the reflection that we need, like, that helps us to humble ourselves.
Oh yeah, because even if you're not doing it out loud, or like it's not in your actions, it's in your thoughts.
It's in your thoughts.
Like you're projecting that God isn't all He says He is. So how do you expect Him to come if you're being shady? How do you expect Him to be like, hey? Like, how do you even expect Him to? Because He wants to be present, right? But how do you expect Him to if the door's already like closed, like if it's like locked, bolted shut, like you've locked it in so many different areas, or maybe not even so many different areas, maybe the door has like 5 locks and you've locked it in like 2, so He can only enter maybe in like a little tight space here or here, simply because like I just you ain't all that, I feel like it's just all talk, right?
And it's so weird that humans talk down to God. I feel like it's like a lack of humbleness. Like all I keep hearing is like this whole journey is just to help us be humble and to help us understand like who He is and who His character is, and just let Him do what He needs to do, right?
Yeah. You can only love if you are humble. Yeah. You can't love out of any kind of pride.
You can't
because you're going to be entitled to it. Like
100%. I remember watching this show and this guy was just like, I look down on you with love.
What the hell? Wait.
I'm like, that's literally what like all of us do.
Oh my God.
Like to a certain degree.
Oh yeah.
And I feel like that's actually part of Ashes too. The factor to just accepting humble. Like to be humble, accepting humbleness as a character of God, but also as your own character.
Yes. Psalm that one where like David was so sad. 51.
Yeah.
Where he was like, a broken heart, oh God, you do not want sacrifice. You do not desire sacrifice, else I would give it. A broken spirit, a broken and a contrite heart, oh God, that will not despise. Because like brokenness, we don't value brokenness. I think we've just been so built up, like
protect yourself, don't be broken. Like, just keep yourself together.
Oh my God, ew, like
always try to have safe face. Don't not even. It's as if we've like concluded that all pain is useless.
Oh yeah.
All pain is negative and all pain is unnecessary, I'd say.
And even to contrast that, it's like we've now also understood all pleasure to be all good.
Yeah.
Like yes, like pleasure is all good. Yes, any kind of pleasure, anywhere, anyhow. Like that's the only thing that'll make the pain go away.
It'll inflict more pain than pleasure at times. And pleasure, we've equated pleasure to just be something that's instant gratification. Or something that's like immediately.
Okay.
When pleasure isn't necessarily that. Right? There's different types of pleasures. There's pleasures that God has put innately in us as we desire for it. But as it is given to us. Like the spirit of like what we call happiness is really just joy. Right? It's only just inhabiting God's joy, but we take it as instant gratification. I always need to be happy, and like we make it a cheap package when that's not what it is.
It's so cheap. It's not even that God doesn't want us to be happy or He doesn't want to give us the desires of our heart. It's that like there's a way that He gives us the desires of our heart that preserves our soul.
Wow.
Girl. There's things that need to happen for those things to come to you. You know what I mean? Maybe He needs to talk to this person, and then this person's cousin needs to come here. Okay. And then boom, boom.
He's orchestrated everything.
Oh, yeah. But there's a way He does it that preserves our soul. I mean, like, the enemy does not care. He's like,
you want pleasure? I got you. I got you.
I got the fix. Which one you want? He'll give you different colors of the same thing. Of the same exact thing.
And then afterwards, you realize how cheap it was.
Oh, God.
You only realize how cheap it was once you've actually accepted that.
And in that time, it's like it's been 10 years. You're like 45. And you're like, where have I been? Oh, no, God forbid. No.
And, I feel like it's really cool to be surrounded, like our group of friends, but in general, just to be surrounded by people like like us who are always going towards growth
Mm-hmm.
in a world where people are regressing.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes it seem like it's very trivial for us in terms of like seeing sin in such a different way.
Okay.
It's like the ashes part of sin being there, but sin also being the reason why God has chosen you. Do you know what I mean?
Wait, go deeper.
So basically, all the people that God has chosen, like just as a pattern, right? Just in his character, has always been people that are perceived or described by their sin, or someone that's struggling like very, very deeply with sin, or someone that is like not even acknowledging their sin. So when Jesus died on that cross and became sin, that is when I see that he turned ugly into beauty. So that's why I see that he
took. My God.
So he
oh my God, get up.
So he uses, and that's why I don't believe in this concept of avoid sin at all costs. I believe in allowing God to guide you.
Yeah.
Because if you live your life avoiding sin,
essentially avoiding mistakes,
you're not. Yeah. First of all, you're not humble, because you think that you can. Because you think you're your own maker, right? You think you can avoid sin. Do you even know all the sins? I don't know all the sins.
Oh my God.
Our thoughts can be sins, right?
Yeah.
And we don't even know that. So if you humble yourself, if you're trying to avoid sin, you're not humble.
Yeah.
If you're trying to, that's just, you're trying to take control. It's essentially witchcraft.
Okay.
And you don't even know that, right? You're just living in that religious mindset. But if you allow God to guide you, when I tell you, I was afraid to do my nails because this is when I was losing myself too, not wanting to be my old self.
Okay.
So you're going through a whole transition period. And I was like, oh, my old self used to do my nails and that was a sin. And God was just like, is it? And I'm like, it is a sin.
Not this side.
I'm like, Jezebel.
Not this side.
I was like, Jezebel, it's a sin. And then God was like, so why would I gift people the creativity to do all that art? And then I specifically went to this girl to go get my nails done, and he said, go see her. When I tell you, I had the best conversation that I've had in so long with a nail tech. She was talking to me about her spirituality, and she was like, I can feel like a presence with you. I can feel peace with you. And she was talking to me about how, and I was testifying to her and basically using, like literally allowing God to just use me in that moment. But if I would have stayed in that mindset that it's a sin and like I don't think people grow like that. I don't think people grow like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's interesting because that's where I see ashes, where we always see, like, you remember when you said earlier about how it's like being new, like something coming out of ashes is not always perceived. It's always perceived as beautiful, as this grandiose thing.
Yeah.
But there's a fire there, right? There's a purge.
There has to be a giant purge.
Yeah.
God be purging, like not even just like on an individual scale, but like on a massive, like nationwide scale.
Oh yeah.
Like it's always necessary. You are like we said, you are never gonna go through a period of time where you don't need purging. It's like you always, not to say that you're always going to be you are always going to be imperfect. Like we're not God.
On
right?
Earth?
Yeah.
On Earth, I think it is impossible for you to be the level of perfection that you perceive yourself to be, because it's already distorted anyways. So you will never be the perfect that you want. But you will attain, I think you can attain a sinless life to perfection on Earth only through his guidance. Like only through him. I don't think it's possible otherwise.
Outside of him.
I don't even think, I know, right?
Yeah.
And so once you reach that point of understanding that, but also understanding of letting go of that idea, because it is not your job to guide you anyways. So
it is not your job to
It's not. It is not your job to guide you.
Yes.
Let me tell you.
Please listen.
When you're out here being like, "Oh, I'm just gonna follow my intuition. I'm gonna follow this." It's not wrong. Mm-hmm. Intuition is not wrong, right? We always distort the truth. So to a certain degree, at the basis of it, you're not wrong. But if your intuition is your flesh, and you're not one with God, then your intuition is automatically wrong, right? God is always...
So are you saying like there's a difference between intuition and discernment?
Yeah. Okay. Basically.
Okay.
And what is intuition anyways? And isn't it just like God putting something in you?
Yeah.
Like there's many times where I was like, I'm sure of this thing. I'm just gonna follow my intuition. And I wasn't wrong, but I wasn't right.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there was a point where I was like, oh, this didn't quite happen like I thought it would, but I was right. Well, that just proves to you you're not God and you can't guide yourself. It just proves to you.
You don't know the process. You don't know the outcome.
You didn't make yourself, so I don't know. And yeah, I mean, people like to say that they make themselves, but on a general basis, autonomically, you did not make yourself.
No.
So it's impossible for you to... It's impossible for you to guide yourself into a future that is unknown. Especially to you.
Into a future that is unknown.
Yeah.
A lot of people... see, this is also the importance of being mindful, right? Like, you have to be okay with the unknown. No. Just breathe. You know what I mean? Breathe. God will actually take care of it. There might be, oh my God, just take the scenic route. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness, I was watching yesterday.
Yeah.
This woman was like, God wants to take you through the scenic route. Because if you go the shorter way, if you go through the shortcut, you might just go back. You might go back to Egypt. You might go, because there was a verse, right? God led, there was a way through which there was a place that he wanted to lead the Israelites to. Yeah. And then there was a pathway through the Philistine country that was shorter. Yeah. And then the way that God led them, obviously, knowing God, was longer. Right? But he took them the scenic route. To avoid them, because if they faced any battles, he said, they might return back to Egypt.
100%. Yeah.
So can you see how it's just like you have to be okay not knowing, just trusting, just being. It's a different level of mindfulness. No, I'll tell you that.
I'm right there with you.
I'm
learning. I'm learning.
I'm
learning. That's what it is. I'm learning. Trust. God has tested my trust and is continuously testing my trust with everything.
Especially with destiny.
Oh.
Like, it can be, like, it's one thing to be like, oh, like, Lord, you know, like, I only have bread in my fridge. You know, like, when is my next meal?
That's one thing. It's one thing.
Yeah. That's, like, really base level. But when it comes to, like, who am I?
Who am I gonna be?
What is the legacy that you want me to leave here?
Yeah, what's my mission,
essentially? Boom. It's like...
It goes beyond my purpose because now it's talking more about action, right? So, yeah. And it's difficult to... It's like, you know what he made you to be, right? You know what he wants you to do. You know how you have a business plan or you have a plan? You know your mission statement, you know your vision statement. Well, now we're at a mission part because your destiny is... Well, your mission is but it's like your main journey, let's say, because you have different missions, right? It's like you're an agent and it's your main part of the journey. It's what creates that legacy anyways. So, but it's action. So that means you have to trust God with not only what you're doing presently and what it's going to do for you in the future, right? So you also have to trust that what he's, and there's also with, you know, the prophetic, right? Being able to see. Not everybody can see, but some people can hear. Some people can have different ways of being prophetic. Yeah. Some people speak it into existence. They don't even know it. Oh, yeah. Right? And so how do you trust that what God said is going to happen without even knowing the action that precedes it to happen?
Oh, my God.
How? Right?
How, Sway?
Trust. That's the only way. Yeah. There's absolutely, like, there are other ways.
How is it?
But do the other ways work? No. like doing it in your own strength, that doesn't work.
Girl, you're gonna go in a cycle. Let me tell you that. And that I'm speaking from experience. If you try and do it in your own strength, you're gonna go in a cycle.
And you're gonna keep plateauing.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna keep reaching that point where you're like, I'm not growing. I feel like I'm not going anywhere. I feel like I'm stagnant. You know, because you're trying to do it on your own.
Oh yeah. The crazy.
Wow, that's deep. That just hit me.
Babe, the craziest lesson that I've learned. Is it? Like, because I think it's crazy, and then I'll just keep being mind blown every single week.
Every single time.
But warfare, I feel like people think that warfare is like, well, supernatural.
And we're yelling, and we're praying, and we're yelling.
Swords out. And, you know, babe, it's the battlefield of your mind.
Yeah.
Warfare is the fact that the enemy can like leave you in a cycle of bitterness and anger for 20 years and you don't know.
That's stagnancy.
And every time you try and fill the void up, or you try and find an answer in another woman or another man, and you still meet the same person. Same exact thing, a different color.
Yeah. Cycles. But then also there's also the question to go on the other side. There's also the question of, why are you meeting the same person? Maybe God's trying to teach you a lesson to forgive. Maybe God's trying to help you move past, or maybe he wants you in that person's life so they can change. How do you actually know, right? So that's where you have to be able, God's going to teach you and help you discern those situations where it's like, this is a cycle that you've created, and this is a challenge I want you to overcome. Right? It's very, very, very difficult situation, because a lot of times you're like, so I'm being presented with something that I don't like because it's reminding me of my past cycles. So I'm going to just run away from this.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not going to deal with this because it's the enemy. And then there's the other side where you're like, but this feels comfortable and this is what I know.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da.
Yeah.
Maybe God wants me to change him.
Yeah.
But that's the one that you need to actually walk away from.
And that's the one you run to.
Yeah.
Because it's what you're used to.
Yeah.
Guys, don't stop. Stop being scared of the unknown. Please.
Yeah.
Please. Break out of that comfort zone, man.
Yeah.
Break out of it. It's not even, you can't even just walk out. You gotta break out.
Yeah.
I don't know what you have to do. Like, stomp it out.
This is like speaking to me so hardcore. And don't think that you needing to like break out of it is you needing to do the work yourself, like we just said. It's literally, you need to sit down with God and be like, what do I need to change? What's wrong with me?
That you can do. You can honestly like be like, hey God, I just need to break down. Yeah. Or you could be I am too intimidated by everything that I have become. What is the first step?
Yeah.
But the most important thing is trust.
Yeah.
Because even if you hear back, what are you gonna do? No, I'm not bitter.
But a lot of people do that, right? They reject the truth because it's a lot easier. I know a handful of adults, you would say, within 30s, 40s, whatever, that you tell them like, and I'm not even coming at you like John did, like, repent for the kingdom of heaven. I'm just like, hey, just the messenger here, but I'm just noticing, and I've been praying for you that maybe you might need to like, repent, because there's a lot of bitterness and anger and all these things, and they're like,
what do you mean?
But you don't even understand.
Like, you don't even know.
Were you in that situation?
You don't even know.
You don't even know me.
No.
And I'm like, listen, I don't know you, but God does.
Oh yeah.
And He's a tattletale.
Oh yeah.
So I've been not able to sleep because I have to pray for you, and now I have to give you this message. And that's why I learned to detach myself. Like, it was so difficult for me to give messages to people when God was showing me things about them. Like, that's just another part of discipleship, right? And losing yourself and being like, hey, let me just like, I guess my feelings don't matter in this situation. Because I would have people either yelling at me or telling me that I didn't hear from God or blah, 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 blah. And and then I shit you not, like days after, weeks after, so you were right. Or they were like, oh, God gave me a dream and you were right, or da 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 da. And I'm like, it's not even about me being right. Like before, I used to be peeved, right? I was right. I know I'm right.
Yeah.
But now I'm just like, yo, people like to be in their flesh. It's the first reaction, right? It's always the first reaction when somebody tells you something about you that only God knows, and then you're like, you're just instantly triggered. You're just kind of
primal.
Like, it's primal
to react.
But I'm so like I'm getting used to it to just like let go and just like let myself go too. Let my own ego go.
Oh my God.
And just be like, yo, girl, you don't gotta be right. It is what it is. Like
you don't have to be
and
right.
you know you're right.
It's okay. Like it's actually okay not to be right. Like there are some there are some things that you cannot just hold yourself accountable for. Let me just let you know now. There are some in life, we all have blind spots. Please do not be overconfident. Please, I'm begging you. Because the day will come where something will pass and you will not be able to see it. You'll be too focused. You've got your sunglasses on. Listen to Jay-Z in the car and you do not, you're just blind. Boom, before you know it, something happens and your whole life has changed. It's now a deeper battle, a deeper cut even. You want to make sure that like community is important. Because you also like, how do I say this? I want to say that external community is really, really important. So
it is.
The people around you
Fellowship.
are yes, right? Who you fellowship with, how you fellowship, all of that. But that internal community, that chorus of voices in your head, in your heart, those things that you've like just like swore down, okay, I will never ever let a man treat me like that. Never do that. Like that is a chorus that is constantly playing every single moment of your life. So you need both. Like you need to be able to, that's where God comes in. Right? Because only he can see that. So he's going to help you like rewrite that. He's going to help you rewrite your mind, your soul, like everything on your heart. Right? But like you have to be surrounded by both. You can't like, there's some things that God can only do through other people. And there's some things that God can only do through and inside you.
You like directly. And you know, that's very, very important. Fellowship is very, very important. But I think one of the most important thing is openness to who God wants you to fellowship to, and how you and who he wants you to fellowship with. I think that's very, very important because a lot of times we like to clan and we like to just, oh, I feel good with this person. I'm just gonna hang out with this person. This feels right, and da 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 da. And yet, that's not who God really wants you to be around. And you just have to accept that. And that's really hard. Like I've been through it where I was like literally crying, like, why do you want me to leave this friendship? But I can only understand when after leaving, right? But then you also have to trust that God's going to bring in the fellowship that you need.
He doesn't take away
without filling
you. But sometimes, most times actually, he wants to take away first. He wants to be like, okay. Like you trust me, right?
But the thing is, he can't work where you have your own system, you have your own core beliefs, you have your own thing, right? He can't pour into what's
already
filled cup.
He
has to fill with an empty cup. And the only way to do that is to throw away the filled cup, right?
New wineskins versus old wineskins.
Exactly. So he has to pour that back in. Well, pour him into you. And you know this,
and that's interesting. That's why we go back to ashes. We go back to ashes because you can't put new wine in old wineskins, and you can't put old wine in new wineskins. You're fooling yourself. You need the full transforming work of God to be able to live out your destiny, to be able to rebirth that life that God wants you to live.
I love that because we were just talking about this, and remember, like, we were talking about the almond milk and how
I hate it.
like literally, and how I make my own almond milk, and what I do is that when I reach the end of it, I just make more almond milk with the old almond milk. And it's not that it does not taste bad. It's not that it tastes bad. But that it's a bad technique is what I'm learning right now. Revelation, it's a bad technique because, like, we just previously had a story that it could be sour.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pouring sour into something that's good.
Yeah.
God's never going to let you keep what's sour so he can, like, you're going to ruin the good that he has for you. You're going to I'm hearing so much of me needing to do therapy after this.
Girl.
Like, my own therapy sessions are just normally just me journaling and talking to God directly and then watching the videos he wants me to watch. So I feel like I'm going to get a lot of that. But it's my own negativity that's in the way. Okay. Right? My mindset, I have this thing where it's like, worst case scenario. I'm always preparing for the worst case scenario. You know what I mean? What happens at the ashes? What happens, What happens when the ashes come and I'm going to burn and you know what I mean?
Or like the fear of burning itself.
The fear of burning itself. Yeah. It's like, I mean, I was saying it earlier. I was like, I feel like a heartbreak is coming to me this summer. Like what?
When what you should be thinking is, I feel like a renewal is coming to me this summer.
Amen. Yeah.
Like, I feel like a new, fresh perspective is coming to me. And whatever happens to me will teach me something so profound that I will never be the same again.
Exactly. Yeah. But that's also the fear of the unknown.
Ma'am. Full circle, eh?
Full circle.
Hey. We've done
always.
We've done like
it's the paradox.
We've done like... Oh my God.
Yeah, life is a cycle, right? It's just which one are you choosing?
Okay, you are getting loud. It's getting really... Wait.
It's true, right? It's because it's supposed to be a cycle. Because we learn in repetition. So
in pattern recognition.
In pattern as well. So it makes sense why it's a cycle. It makes sense why a day is 24 hours. It makes sense why there's always a year that's coming. You know what I mean? It makes sense why that's not only how we perceive time, but also how we perceive God. I see him as a moon cycle. Yeah. Like, I was like obsessed with the moon for a while. Yeah. And it was like, because he was telling me that I remain the same, right? I am the same. I'm the same moon, let's say. But you're just seeing a different cycle and you're seeing a different side of me. You're learning more about me. Okay. But that's just how it is. And that's how the cycle is always going to be until eternity, right?
Period.
So which cycle are you choosing? Are you choosing eternal? Or are you choosing material? Are you choosing what you can see, what you can touch, what feels nice? Yeah. Are you
what
just
feels right?
Or feels right, or what you feel comfortable with? Comfortability has become like my number one enemy. Like I used to be like comfort. I need comfort.
Just soothe me.
Just honestly. Soothe me.
That's all I need.
But now I'm learning that like comfort is actually like one of my number one enemies. Because it's a distraction.
Oh yeah.
Like being comfortable in a situation. Like I understand safe spaces, and I truly believe that safe spaces have their place, and it's important. But it has to ensue growth. It can't just be to make you comfortable because you're not growing.
There we go. And a comfort zone is different from rest.
Yeah.
Like you need to rest. Like there's no doubt about that.
You're human.
But when you like invest only in your comfort zone, what are you doing? You're essentially recycling your old self. Why would you it's
like a snake that sheds its skin and then crawls right back into it.
That's so dusty. Like why would you
because it was comfortable in it before, you know what I mean? Well, that's why we have habitual sin, and we have like our bad habits and all these things, the bad cycle that you fall into over and over and over. And you think, that's the thing, you think you're growing only because you have the perception of time. Right. So you think, because it's been 10 years and I don't smoke or I don't drink like I used to.
Hey.
But if you're not going towards growing out of it, like, you know what I mean? People that are comfortable.
You're calling out some uncles right now. Not even gonna lie. There's some uncles that need to see this message. Let me tell you, wait.
Just comfortable and like, but you know, it's what it is.
Like, you're the same guy with a beard.
the same guy.
I'm telling you, like, for real. How have you evolved? And this is like, hey, not even to be shitty. Hey, let's be real.
Yeah.
Accountability is past, like, it's way past, like, the recognition of who you used to be.
Yeah.
Way past it. Yeah, you can acknowledge that.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Wow.
You could, but again, you could be the same thing in a different color. Like, that's how easily the enemy can just, like, get you.
And I think that just shows through pride.
Yeah.
That's just what pride is. That's just a lack of humbleness. Because pride is, like, pride makes you think that. And it's so crazy because you have to thank God and be grateful for the progress that you've done, but you can't think that there's no more progress to be done. I remember I was at a period of time where I was like, I'm so spiritual, I'm so this, I've grown so much.
It all.
What else can I know? And it hit me like a ton of bricks.
Of course, before a fall. All the time.
It hit me like a ton of bricks. I was like, I was literally crying and I was on my knees like, God, I didn't know. Why did you tell me?
I can't breathe. No, like.
But then I think about how weaker I was in those times and how stronger I've become, yet I'm still weak. And I'm just like, but I'm stronger in my weakness now.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of being weak in my weakness, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Because you have, whether or not you feel like you're perfect, you have somebody who loves you enough to fill all of your voids.
Yeah.
All of the spaces that you feel like you can't fill up or that you can't attend to. You have somebody who's always waiting. So...
And what I love about God is that he teaches me how to do it for myself. That doesn't make me feel as though I am God.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
That's
like,
important.
there's been moments where, like, panic attacks or whatever, where he'd just be like, breathe. And he said it so many times to me that when it occurs, I just breathe. You know what I mean? It just becomes something that is innate in me now to, like, breathe and count and make sure that I'm, like...
You're becoming proactive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's also the journey to becoming one with God, which is where we're trying to be, right? Because he wants us to be like him, right? So if we're able to do that for ourselves through him, instead of always... Because it's like a child, right? You start off as a baby, God coddles you, and, and then life happens... He lets life teach you lessons. Yeah. And then you grow, and then you reach a point where you're not doing the same mistakes you were doing before. It's new mistakes, but you're not doing the same mistakes. And so you can cope for when certain things happen or certain things come back. Right? And I think that's kind of the image of Phoenix, right? That's why you're in your weakness, you become, like, his strength can shine through. That's kind of how I see it.
In your weakness, his strength can shine through.
So in your own weakness.
Yeah.
I have a question. Ooh. So, like, I don't know why this question's popping up, but, like, Phoenix, right? That's the epitome of what everybody thinks about when they think about, like, ashes, rising from the ashes. Yeah. People have, like, there's a poem about it where it's convoluted to basically... Jesus, right? Dying on the cross, coming back 3 days later, the ascension, etc. What would be a creature, if you could imagine it, that supersedes a phoenix?
Supersedes a phoenix?
Yeah. Because the phoenix, what happens after the phoenix burns, right? Because there's a constant thing. It's like a Pokemon. It's continuously growing.
No, you're gonna have to go first, bro.
I'm gonna have to go first.
Yeah, then.
All right. I'm really into dragons lately. So I kind of see like
where the fire becomes like your power, like your harnessing it, as opposed to being scared of it.
Stop!
Wow. No, yeah.
Yo, 100%. I'm seeing like I love the contrast between black and white. I've just been seeing that a lot lately, especially in my dreams. So I'd see like a black and white dragon, and then like you said, that harnesses the power of fire now instead, right? Because the phoenix embodied it, and then now the dragon like harnesses it and uses it. Oh, that's so cool.
Did you say harnesses?
Harnesses. All right, I think we've chatted unless you have anything else to say.
No.
Yeah. I feel like it's a good place
to fade out.
To fade out.
I want to end it with just saying that I think everyone should look at fire as not something that burns, but as the like really intense, radiant power of love. Like
like do not be afraid of God's wrath, because it's not hell that burns you.
It's not the hell that burns. Yeah.
Wow, I don't know where that's going, but
I'm gonna
end it there, up in the air.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's so good.
It was, I don't know, it just kind of happened.
That's good. Yeah. Thank you for coming.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.